2024 Board of Adjustment meeting to order. Brandy, would you please give us a roll call?
Yes. Kays.
Here.
Aletsky.
Present.
Culhane.
Here.
Dargis Johnson.
Here.
Spire.
Here.
Hanson.
Here.
And Dolly, Brink, and Ford are absent. We have a quorum, and for Board of Adjustment items, we have a variance and a conditional use being heard today. For the variance, we would need 5 in the affirmative. For the conditional use, we would also need 5. Actually, I didn't think about the conditional use. Let me figure that out. We need the majority, so we need 4 for conditional use. 5 for the variance, 4 for the conditional use.
So
Sorry,
5,
every
okay.
time.
Sounds good. Thank you, Brandy. Can I get a motion for approval of the agenda? Anything to add, Brandy?
Nope.
So moved.
Motion by Kays, second by Rhonda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Can I get a motion for approval of the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Hanson,
Second.
second by Kays. Any additions, amendments, changes? Okay, thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Number 5, regular agenda, CUP. Would you take it away, Brandy?
Yes, thank you, Liam. So this property here does not have an address, as you noticed in your packet, as we just put to be determined, 13th Avenue Southeast. It's this property I've highlighted here on the corner of 14th Street. Well, it has 3 fronts. So it fronts 13th Ave, 14th Ave, and 14th Street. The proposal is for it's Zone C3, Highway Commercial. The proposal is for contractor shops and storage yards, which are not 2 separate conditional uses. It's just one item listed there. Obviously, this entire area, all of these properties have received this conditional use. And with that, I'll stand by for any questions.
Anybody have any questions for staff, for Brandy? There is a public hearing on this matter. I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone to speak on behalf of or against this conditional use permit?
Doesn't look like it.
Anyone in the audience? Anyone online?
We don't have teams. Do you have it?
I'll hold off just 1 second and see if we can get teams pulled up.
Yeah, I thought that, okay.
Otherwise, it's gonna have to go to, right?
That's a good question for staff.
I don't think anyone was going to be online though, but
Hey, Brandy, I got a question on the sewer. Is that common over there, that some of the properties are not connected to the city sewer?
okay, so what I wrote there, if the public sewer is not obtainable due to it being too shallow, then that the property would receive, yeah. So that area, they do have the elevation issue and it is shallow. So they would potentially have to run from that private line that is between, and I'll show you here once we
Yeah.
get behind these buildings, if they need sewer.
So that's a shared sewer between all of those buildings? Is that what you're saying? Or are they separate mound septic systems?
Honestly, we don't allow septic systems, but that would be something that we would dive into with wastewater at the time of building permit issuance. So I asked as far as how they would be served with utilities, and that's the write-up that I provided. But as far as the specifics, we didn't get into all that. And how the existing buildings are, they all have connection to sanitary sewer. I'll show you here. So you can see it runs, so then they have it extending off of 17th. So, but the issue is just like any of these areas, they could run it from here or here, but their issue is that they're worried this might be too shallow.
Okay.
Perhaps the question is that if this use was going to be situated in there and they have to just figure out how they're going to get to the mains have the capacity themselves to handle whatever sanitary sewer is generated on the site.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good questions, good answers. Anybody else, anything at all from the public? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing, and I would ask for board action.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Kays,
Second.
second by Spear.
I'm just going to go back to the sewer for just a second. They don't have to put sewer in them, do they? I mean, right? I mean, they can still build without sewer.
Right. Typically, they're going to, though, with a contractor shop. If it were storage units, no,
So is that going to require a lift then? I mean, or is that?
no.
Okay, it's just
They will
just
have
saying,
to.
what if it can't be, then?
So then they
still
would
can
have to
build,
do
correct?
sealed holding tanks.
Oh, oh,
So you can't, and if there's just no way of connecting, then that is the option, that a sealed holding tank, but the city does not allow septic systems.
so I guess that's my question. So if we pass this, then even if they can't do sewer and we aren't going to allow the septic tank, they could still put buildings up that just don't have plumbing to them, correct?
Yep, or do a sealed holding tank.
Okay, all right.
Great questions. Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you, Commissioner Kays, Commissioner Letsky. Any other questions for staff? Any other discussions? All right, roll call, Brandy.
All right, Hanson,
Yes.
Spire,
Yes.
Dargis Johnson,
Yes.
Colhane,
Yes.
Valetsky,
Yes.
Kays.
Yes.
CUP passes unanimously. Motion passes unanimously. On to 5B, variance request.
Take it away.
Please.
All right. This is the property at 411 First Avenue, just off of where they rerouted Kemp into First, where now there is this cul-de-sac right by the railroad track there. So the property itself zoned I-1 light industrial, and it's under new ownership, so Dave Ortelli Thompson are the applicants. And if you notice in your agenda packet, we have the variance request for a side yard setback. In the I-1 district, it's required to be 20 foot. So what we had originally talked about is the side yard setback on the west property line, which is what was included in your agenda packet. If I can get no, actually, no, I'm gonna pull it up here. Also, okay, we're good there. Sorry, 1 second, let me get this pulled up. To show kind of what, through discussion, and obviously under new ownership, the owners are tossing around different ideas. So this was brought up in conversation the other day. So it did not make the agenda packet, even though okay. So, but I marked up this vicinity map so you guys would have a better idea kind of what they were wondering if they could also add to this variance request. So the public notice and the adjacent landowner letters did not state that it was the side yard setback on the west side. However, the vicinity map on the adjacent landowners showed that it was the map that is in your agenda packet. So
Public hearing notice only, what was the text of the public hearing notice? Because the adjoining landowners doesn't matter, it's only the text.
yeah,
of
the text is just a variance to the side yard setback.
Not specific to any side.
No.
We're good.
So so I marked this up that I had handed out to you all as well for this vicinity map of the areas so they're wanting to put or install the shipping containers for storage units. So that is what they're wanting this setback reduction for. Obviously, it doesn't even really matter what the use that they would be installing would be because they're abutting the railroad right-of-way. Also, just with the grade in this area, it's quite a bit higher, obviously, than the railroad grade. So they already are losing that 5 feet, and they would like to, install their units as far back as possible. And then they also have a trucking company, so to be able to have truck maneuverability, because the storage units will be 40 foot in length. which then that is what is showing here with the 20-foot side yard setback. They, to the existing bakery building, then that is 170 feet. And then cut that down by 40 feet, then there would be that 130 feet in between. But they are asking for a reduction originally, and then so we, that they would be allowed for a 5-foot side yard setback on both the west and the north. The thing about the north is I did contact the property owner, the adjacent property owner to the north, which is Mike Cole. And it was discussed if there could at least be a boundary of where the storage units could go so that it wasn't extending along the entire side yard up into, further to the east, if that were allowed.
Can we break the discussion up into west first and then north, Mr. Chair?
Yes, absolutely.
I like that.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Brandy, so I want to make sure I understand this. So we are looking on the west side, which is adjacent to the railroad. They're looking to be 5 feet off of the west property line from all the way up to the front yard setback on the north. And then the side yards then 10 feet or 20 feet off the south property line.
So they would still be meeting their front yard setbacks. So they would have to be 40 foot off of that, off of those.
Off the cul-de-sac, but see, is that a,
Oh, actually, like right here is their
Yeah.
property line.
so that's a 20-foot setback on the south?
40 as a front.
Oh, that's a front yard on that, even though it doesn't butt up against the,
Yeah, because it's still it's still the right of way.
okay, I see. So we're going 40 feet from the south and 40 feet from the north, a distance of 5 feet off the property line. I just want to make sure I got the ask right.
No, so a 5-foot side yard setback on the west property line.
From Third Avenue all the way down to the south property line.
Yep.
But we can't construct in the area of the front yard on the north.
Yes, because they're not asking for a variance for front yard.
So that's what I'm saying. So the public understands we're not putting storage units all the way up to Third Avenue. but
Right.
that's-
Right.
yeah,
Yep.
thank
They'll still have to be 40 feet back.
And then we were talking about on the north side, a 5-foot off of the north property line, but the adjoining property wants to have some sort of prescribed distance, that they don't run the entire 300 feet or whatever.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to make sure I understood the request.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Cole owns that strip of land just north of there. It looks like a driveway, but it's grass. He owns that too, that goes up to Third Avenue. Yeah, so it's gonna be 5 foot off of there.
And these lines aren't accurate. That's why on the vicinity map, then I drew them of how this area was replatted. So I'll pull that plat up. So you can see there, so he has about 86, 87 feet. And on GIS, it shows it much more narrow, I believe.
Is that buildable then?
Yeah. 87 feet, so it's I-1 side yard setbacks. He would still have 46 feet, 47 feet to construct a building with the 20-foot setbacks, side yard setbacks. And so now this all is one, sorry, you guys can't see that. That is that 86 feet. So on the GIS map, that extends to about this area.
And that's what Mr. Cole owns, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So then it just runs parallel then with that other lot line, which is what your vicinity map shows.
Brandy, so to me, it looks like we have 3 lines there. Is there actually 2 different pieces of property, or what's the middle line indicate?
So just, I would say focus on the vicinity map. like, yeah, pretend that that lot line, like, if I outlined that on this map, that would have maybe been more helpful, but we're not looking at that property. So everything to the north is under one ownership.
But it's kind of
That strip
screwed.
is under one
Kind
ownership.
of weird legal descriptions.
It used to be, but now it is all platted under Sophie's
Yeah.
edition. And this is a recorded plat. Yeah, come on, First District.
A little slow on the draw, I guess.
You guys got to send it to us in a timely fashion.
Hey, no,
further
that is not
questions
the
For
agreement.
staff, further questions for staff before I open the public hearing? Anybody? Good. I will open the public hearing. It looks like both Telly and Mr. Cole are here. Does anybody have anything to say? You want to say anything, Telly? Come and introduce yourself.
So, yeah. Just state, no, right here. And then just, yeah, then just state your name and then they'll ask your questions.
Telly Thompson. And then on that building there on the west with the bakery that Bimbo's in now, there is a loading dock currently right to, on the north, be the north side of that building. And there's a concrete wall that comes out about 15 feet. And for a truck to back into that, you kind of need a little bit more room because it kind of drops down. Like you can see that.
Right here.
No, right here. Right there, yeah. It's like a retaining wall because it goes down to level off to the bottom for, a truck to back into. So for a truck to back into there comfortably, it would be nice for us to push them back just a little bit.
On that west side.
On the west side, yeah, yes.
Board have any questions for Mr. Thompson?
Are we hard surfacing all of this at this
Uh,
point?
it is gonna be, crushed, concrete underneath and then crushed asphalt. And then the city wanted me to put oil or the bladder top on the top to seal it, to make it's gonna be way more presentable.
So the city engineering division discussed this, and as far as engineering design standards go, because these shipping containers do not have a permanent foundation, and because they don't know as their business model might shift, we don't want them to have to put down like asphalt or concrete because they do not have a permanent foundation. So it's still hard surfaced. They're gonna do the crushed concrete, recycled asphalt, and then with a bladder top on top. So, and then obviously in the future, if they would ask for a building permit that had a permanent foundation, then that's where they need asphalt and concrete.
Is there any access into your property off a third, or will that not be an access?
There is.
And you're going to use that to bring in these storage containers and exit with them?
Yeah, whatever's kind of the easiest way in, I guess. It'd probably be, what road's
Over
that?
that
Third, it'd probably be off a third. I think that approach is a little bit more desirable for trucks.
So they do have the three fronts with access points. So they have 3rd Street, 3rd Ave, and 1st Ave.
And then I guess also to add on the north, on the other note, I guess we'd like to match that building, right, 405, because that is about little tad bit over 5 feet off of the property line now, and we like to match it because it's 30 feet wide, and on a 40-foot container, it's only 10 feet farther out, and we'd like to continue that a ways. That blacktop building is actually gone now. We demoed that because it was a useless building, so.
So the neighbor to the north is saying that they would like to have some stipulation that your storage containers aren't going to run from 3rd Avenue all the way down to 3rd Street. So have you got an idea what the maximum usage of containers that you would be okay with?
Well, if you could see, we're probably right where that line goes, north and south, through the two buildings. Honestly, that'd probably be about all the farther we'd bring them anyway.
So right to this.
Yeah.
So if we were to apply that condition, you would be okay with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that. I mean, it's because it narrows up so fast, and we need drivable areas and stuff. Because yeah, we just want to make it more accessible for everybody, make it a better appearance for everybody.
Brandy, is there any requirement with industrial property to, have required front yards to be grass or side yards to be grassed, or any sort of from a water quality standpoint or anything like that in the design standards?
Or like lot coverage. So once they get to the where there's, that's a good point. For detention, after an acre of impervious, then they are required to build a pond for their detention. They already have a low spot situation going on.
It's right in there.
Oh, it's up here. Okay. So that is what will end up, it's everything post 2008. So if they're meeting, they won't meet that threshold with this development, but in the future as things progress.
Does the quasi pavement, does that count towards impervious surfaces in the calculation, or is it only structures?
It is all of the impervious surface. So the
So when they
hard
when they
surfacing.
blotter it, they're gonna have more than an acre if they blotter all that.
And we will review that.
I was just curious if that's a requirement though, right?
Yes.
Any questions, any more questions for Telly?
I have a question for Brandy. So again, I-1, is there any screening or lighting, fencing, security, anything else that needs to be provided by the landowner?
No. Nope. I-1, obviously, like outdoor storage, anything like you can't be storing junk cars or whatnot. Like you still, if you're gonna do things like that, or if you have outdoor storage, you need screening still. However, they'll have units that they'll be able to put any outdoor material, whatever, inside. But, so it's the same, code enforcement standpoint, for an I-1 district, that it still needs to be tidy.
If this I-1 was butting up directly to a residential use, then we would more than likely look at screening as an issue to mitigate the impact.
I mean, maybe you guys would.
I'm saying we would have that option. It's one of those things that we look 6 or 7 points to mitigate impact on adjoining properties. And if it was residential, we would maybe look at that. But being that it's industrial just to the north of it anyway, or to the west.
Yep, to be compatible. And Todd, what you were saying too, then we got on the detention pond. The lot coverage, though, it's not a requirement. Obviously, if they like overflow areas that can be gravel in industrial districts, we'd always have the requirement of boulevards need to have 15 foot of grass. A lot of the times that can be already obtained, though, in the boulevard, so it doesn't go onto the private property much. But those are all things that we'll review then when they submit for the building permit and site plan.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Brandy. Thank you, Telly. Do you have something?
I do. I have one more, well, I have a lot of questions. So this 5-foot setback then, what will the covering on that be? Will it be grassed? Will it be hard surface, that 5, if we allow this up to the railroad property right now, you kind of got sparse grass and just kind of what are you going to have there?
I would like to eventually put in like a concrete blocks or them big monster blocks and kind of, because if you look, that ditch goes down quite a ways from what it was there when we purchased it. So I'd like to clean that up at some point and get it more looking presentable, and then mow that or mow whatever grass is along that, or take care of any weeds, anything like that, to make it square it off and clean it up, I guess, because right now it's definitely not there. But and I guess it would be asphalt up to the monster blocks, I guess.
Because then your monster blocks will most likely, because just with the grade I think that they're working with, the monster blocks will probably be set back 5 feet from the property line. So then down in that ditch area, it would abut with the railroad grade there. because I believe they sit quite a bit higher.
Yeah, it's probably 3 foot in spots, and then it kind of tapers down a little bit, but that stuff was all there when we purchased the property, and I'm just trying to, we're trying to make it look a lot nicer.
And that's exactly what I mean, we are right
Yeah.
across from Lions Park there, Kitty Wampus, right? Kind of, sort of.
Correct.
Well, it's a ways. Oh, that one there. Oh, yeah, yep. Okay,
Right
I
there.
forgot. Yeah.
I mean, again, that's if we're going to improve, then we'd like to see improvement, not just utilizing the land. I mean, I get it, you own the land, you want to use it, so, but it's also a concern of this board, or at least I hope it is, of what it's going to look like in the end. And that's why I'm asking the questions. That's also why I'm concerned about the Third Avenue access there. You will have kids, they're fishing, they fish there a lot, and again, you're gonna have, it's an industrial, I get that, so I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here. I'm just wishing that perhaps the traffic could be taken off onto Third the other way, or onto Kemp it would be, right, or that little loop-de-doo first.
So
I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, can I add that approach is actually a little too small for a truck to go into anyway, and then the angle that it comes off, we would end up bottoming out anyway, so we can't really go through there with a truck, honestly. I mean, we can with vehicles.
Right, oh, so it'd
But-
be more vehicle
Yeah,
access
it wouldn't
than
be-
your semis bringing those big containers in then.
Yeah, and I mean, containers are only gonna come in one time, and then they're not gonna keep going back and forth.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're not bringing in the kind that you take to a house when someone's moving and you're
No,
bringing them back?
no, they're gonna be there, and then we're gonna make them look nice, presentable. They're like, Easy Stores on 20. You know how they're sitting on little 2-foot pads or whatever?
Right.
And then they got asphalt down right along the highway there. Yeah, it's just gonna be just like that.
Okay, but those are the same ones that get set in driveways when
Yeah.
people move. That's
Well,
why I
we're-
guess I just assumed you were doing that.
No, we're not hauling them in and out all the time. Like, they're just gonna be set there until we come up with a different plan, and just for the time being, because it's kind of a fast way to get more income coming in and then eventually we would like to put a permanent structure of some kind, but we just gotta, because we just purchased the property.
Brandy, with your illustration there, with that improvement, last year on Third Avenue North, there is curb and gutter sidewalk on both sides then of Third as well?
And whether or not, Brandy, I'm going to assume that if due to this business hopefully being successful and generating more traffic, if traffic counts warranted, a crosswalk or something could be instituted at that point where the kiddos go to the park. right?
yeah, yep, it's pretty far away.
And Third Avenue is a collector street
Yes,
for the city of Watertown.
yeah, the kids should not be crossing the tracks.
I would be more concerned if we hadn't just put in beautiful sidewalks on both sides, so, I mean, they were going right on the road before that, because I used to come in every day and go every day out of that, so, no. Good enough. Any other questions for Telly?
Yes, the variance request specifies storage units. I hear shipping containers. Just to be clear, is there any intent to use something other than shipping containers?
At some point, yeah. I don't know
Okay.
how, it's just a matter of, like, we got a lot of work to do with this property. As you guys seen, it's been a lot of years since it's been upkeep, and we have plans to make it way more presentable. But for time frame and stuff, I mean, we can only do so much at one time. But yes, we do have plans at some point to maybe put up a little more permanent structure, I guess, for when we got to feel the market.
I think that adds a different wrinkle or dynamic here
Oh,
to the
I'm
request.
sorry about that.
No, I think that it's, permanent structures up to the lot lines.
No,
Yeah,
No,
this is just for the containers as of right now.
that's what I'm getting with this variance. This is specifically asking for shipping containers,
Yeah.
not for other storage unit types.
that's correct. So if they came in and were requesting a different building permit, then it would need to come back to the board.
I just say for any motion that goes forward, that language be changed to specify shipping containers.
All right, sorry about that.
Mr. Chair, I think that's something that would come up as the motion is.
Correct. The public hearing is still open, so good discussion, good points, and I think we can discuss that as we get to the motion part of this. I see Mr. Cole is here. I'm sure he has something to say. Everyone's done with Telly for right now, right? Don't go anywhere in case we need you.
That's fine.
Mr. Cole, do you have anything you want to say? Come up and introduce yourself, please, if you do. If not, that's fine, too.
Good evening. My name is Mike Coe, and I am the adjacent property owner to the Thompsons' property. I, for right now, have no objections whatsoever to them having the 5-foot setback. And as we were talking just prior, you know, the containers don't reach all the way out to Third. I think that would be my only concern. And that would be,
So it would go to this line,
yeah, that's right,
about 180 feet,
yeah. Yeah,
190 is what,
yeah.
200, whatever.
I believe that's the intent. I mean, just sort of loosely, that's what the discussion has been, and we'll see how it pans out in the motion. Any other comments, Mr. Cole?
No, I don't believe so.
Thank you, I appreciate your
You
time.
bet.
Anybody else wants to speak on behalf of or against, or does anybody have any questions for Mr. Cole? I wouldn't think so, but don't want to foreclose that. Anybody else that has anything to say about this matter before I close the public hearing? Anybody in the interweb? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing, and I'd ask for a motion, and then we'll have discussion. Motion and second, and we'll discuss. Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the 5-foot setback off of the west property line and the 5-foot setback off the north property line to follow no further easterly than the whatever edge of that one.
You
whatever
want to
the-
say 190 feet east of the building at,
405 First Avenue Northwest
yep,
and no, 190 feet. Yeah, however, you know what I mean by that.
yep. Or even to the, we could even say to the edge of Lot 2 of Sophie's Addition, because
Yeah.
that is that property line.
Yes, that's what I was looking for. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion. I feel relatively confident with,
Storage unit.
I'm going with this to start with, and then we'll have the, if somebody wants to make an alternate, we can argue that.
we have a motion. I would like a second for discussion purposes.
I'll second that.
Second by Oletsky. Questions, concerns for the board, questions for staff, questions, discussions between each other?
My comment on the, specifically on the western side, this is dead property, it's railroad property. There will nothing ever be constructed in that right-of-way that's not a railroad, so there's really no issue with that. This is industrial uses, that's, and it's going to be a better improvement to the area. You have an adjoining property owner to the north which does not object to the 5-foot placement off of his property line. The odd shape of his lot is going to be an interesting fit of what he wants to do with that property going forward. I'm fine whether these are temporary storage units or they end up becoming a permanent structure at some point for this very same reasons. Whether it's potato or potato, if I'm not okay with this for 5 feet, why would I not be 5 feet for the other thing? Because these temporary could very well outlive me as far as permanency.
My only problem with that. Because I always have to oppose Todd, that's just the way it is.
All right, Rhonda, what is your concern or discussion point, please?
He knew it was coming. My only contention with this is, are we setting a precedence through that whole, by giving the 5-foot on storage, these containers, they are, like I said, the steel isn't going to burn if there were a fire, so fire doesn't concern me at this point. But if they became a wood structure, that maybe would concern me more so. And as we kind of follow that, that I-1, that whole area right there, by putting the 5 foot for anything goes, are we going to be able to straight face say it to anybody else in that area? And their structure would be wood structure. That's,
Looking at 519 West Kemp in the southwest corner, and that, according to this, it looks like it's right on the property line. And that's a wood structure or tin building.
Unfortunately, given the curvature of the railroad there, there's a lot of oddball lots here,
Yeah.
which creates issues, which, I think qualifies as the hardship. That's where it justifies it for me, is that we got a bunch of oddball lots. Are we gonna blanket give 5 foot setbacks? I would suggest that we take them as they come.
Yep.
This one seems reasonable based on the request, based on the adjacent properties, based on the adjacency to the railroad.
and I'm good with that as long as the public understands that that is exactly what we're looking at. Doesn't mean it's going to be a rubber stamp with all the other property owners in that area.
I don't believe that this necessarily binds us. It seems to me that looking just on this particular map that we have displayed, that there are probably other properties that are ripe for some level of variance. But I think we do that on a as-needed basis as they come up and deal with it.
And Mr. Chair,
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Commissioner, was it Hanson?
Yes.
Sorry.
Question again for staff. So I guess spell it out for me again. If today the applicant says shipping containers, if they come with the option of they wanted to do a building, whether it be steel or pole barn, they would need to come back before us for another approval, or is that done administratively within the city, or how?
So how the motion was made is that it's for any structure.
Correct.
You have that option. When I stated that the intent would be that it's for the shipping containers, but the motion was made for any structure.
Correct.
For the reasons that were stated.
Correct. So
As it stands, they could build any structure that otherwise complies with the ordinance within 5 foot.
Correct.
If you
So-
have an alternate motion, I don't want to cut you
Oh, no,
off, I'm trying to fast forward this.
I get you.
Given that that Commissioner Spears Spear has been interested in it, make a substitute motion, I think, or is it a motion to amend would be appropriate?
we could do it either way. You could have a motion to amend, and then it was amended, or you can make it as a substitute.
And then we'll either vote it up or down, just to kind of fast forward it.
No, so again, clarification, Brandy. So in the I-1, would be the wall height if they decided to build a structure?
They can have a maximum wall height of, the building height can be 60 feet.
Gotcha. All right.
So I'd like to make amended motion to change the language for the variance to shipping containers and not storage units.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll make a second for discussion purposes.
Okay, so the discussion is limited to the amended motion, or the motion as amended. Comments, concerns?
I myself,
Am
I
I the
agree
comment?
with Bill on that. And then let's just see what happens, because everything is going to be a little bit different 10 years down the road. And have them come back then.
Brandy, sorry.
So the only thing is, just to caution, is that it might perpetuate the shipping container, means that the setback is less if it's a shipping container.
That's where I was going with it, that if the intent is to someday have conventional storage buildings, 12-foot sidewalls, what have you, constructed there, and maybe this board, the 6 of us are all okay with it, but then we say, no, you got to come back, and depending on the makeup of that board, they turn around, and now we're stuck with shipping containers, which to me is a long-term eyesore as opposed to a structure. They have to come back, and there's no guarantee that they're going to be able to put that structure there. So that's why I
Well,
think
if that's a
if I'm in
concern,
their
then we should just not approve the variance request, because that could be, once approved, it's approved. They could be shipping containers forever. So that's why I would say specify shipping containers or approve it as requested.
Okay, so the other thing too is that if it's a permanent structure, they would have to be complying to building codes. So they might not even use 5 feet because they would be able to save on firewalls and whatnot if they'd set them back 10 feet. So there's all different instances. I just wanted to caution you guys on perpetuating the use, obviously, with the adjacent land uses that it might be appropriate.
We have a motion in front of us to amend the previous motion. My understanding of Roberts is that this requires a simple majority to amend, right?
Yep.
And then we will vote on the motion either as it was originally presented
Or as amended.
or as amended, depending on that. If we win, just for everyone following along, it gets kind of complicated and goofy when we get into the procedural stuff. Any further discussion before we take a roll call vote? Good. Hearing none, I would take a roll call on the amendment.
Sounds good. Colhane,
No.
Jargis Johnson,
Yes.
Spire,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Oletsky,
Yes.
Kays.
No.
4-2, the motion is amended to include, the original motion is amended to include specific language about shipping containers. So you are limited to shipping containers, assuming we approve the follow-up motion, Telly. Okay, so we're back to the original variance request. Any other further questions, comments, concerns? The public hearing is closed, but do we have any questions, anything else?
I have a question, Liam.
Go ahead, Brandy.
For a variance, it has to be 5 of the 6.
Only, but an amendment only takes
Where-
a simple majority of the board.
This motion now the motion itself requires 5.
Okay,
To amend it requires a majority.
Yeah, we're making sausage, you only need a majority.
Sorry. I had to dust off Roberts.
I tr-
But we
I
have a
trust-
resident
we
expert,
got
probably
the-
the most knowledgeable Roberts person in,
yeah, no, I just wanted to clarify that I trust you guys.
yeah. So this one requires 5. So 5 of us have to say yes, and he gets the variance. If more than one person says no, no variance.
Yes.
Is my understanding. So, okay. Hearing nothing else, roll call, please, Brandy.
Kays,
Yes.
Oletsky.
Yes.
Colhane,
Yes.
Jargis Johnson,
Yes.
Spire,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. We get a variance. They're limited to storage containers. Item number 6, open public comment. Did anybody have anything they want to say that wasn't otherwise on the agenda? Good. Hearing none. Any new business?
No.
Any old business? Good.
Oh,
We are-
sorry.
No? Okay. So, good. I didn't think we'd had any of that either.
Sorry, I was
I
switching
will
gears
adjourn
already.
us.
All right, now we'll get switched over to